Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, partners of the EU SME Centre, and also to our dear participants who are joining us online. Welcome to this year's Understanding China conference organized by the EU SME Centre in China. My name is Liam Jia. I'm the team leader of the EU SME Centre Phase 4. My great honor to introduce to you today's program. The EU SME Centre's Understanding China conference has been an annual flagship event of the EU SME Centre, where we invite policymakers from EU institutions, we invite economists, we invite industry experts, as well as the partners of the EU SME Centre and SMEs in the field for a discussion to share their insights into EU-China relations, EU-China trade relations, into topics including the economic outlook on China, including industry-focused discussions, eventually all the impacts these topics will have on SMEs when doing business with China. My great pleasure, without further ado, to already start with the opening remarks. And let me introduce to you our first speaker, Mr. Bonifacio Garcia Porras, Head of Units, DG for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and SMEs, DG Grow, to take the floor.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you are fine today. You had your coffee. And really looking forward for this conference for 2 days. Understanding China, I think it's a very, very important topic. So first of all, thank you to Liam, thank you for the center, so the center team for inviting me to the conference Understanding China. As you have said, Liam, my name is Bonifacio Garcia Porras, and I'm the head of unit for the SME unit of the Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and SMEs. And my unit is responsible for SME policies in the European Union, and our sister unit on international value chains is in charge of the SME internationalization. I think I am going to essentially present now today what are the priorities for SMEs in the current context, which I think is particularly relevant. As you know, we are now having the election of the future commission. Next future or commissioners designate have to go through the hearings at the European Parliament. And as we can see, as we will be able to present you today, SMEs are very high in the political agenda. So my intention today is to give you a little bit of a flavor of some of these elements. SMEs are important for the European Union. SMEs represent 99.8% of all businesses in the European Union and provide about 2/3 of all the jobs in the private sector and are the primary vehicle of innovation in the various European ecosystems or sectors of the economy. However, their cross-border activities often remain below potential, both in the EU single market and beyond. To address this reality, we have a program which is called the SME Pillar under the Single Market Program, which is a program for about 7 years, starting in 2021 and finishing in 2027, which aims to promote precisely the SME growth and competitiveness within the European Union and beyond. We provide concrete help to SMEs at all stages of their development. This includes support to internationalization, uptake of innovation, commercialization, and scaling up. I was referring before to the special moments that we are going through, and indeed, as President of the Commission, Ms. von der Leyen, recently announced in her political guidelines in July this year, SMEs and small mid-caps are at the heart of our policies for the future mandate. The agenda for SME policy for the next mandate will be particularly busy. Our 25 million SMEs, even more, are just not passive followers. On the contrary, SMEs must be the leaders of the change that the European Union so urgently needs. The European Union faces the need for radical change to remain productive and competitive globally, as well as to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. These are the overall goals. Helping SMEs grow and become more productive is only possible if we address the main challenges that hold SMEs back. For this purpose, in September last year, we released the SME Relief Package. This is a communication of the Commission, a political communication with concrete actions and concrete proposals that identifies key areas to unleash SMEs' productivity potential. First, making the life of SMEs easier through better regulation. This is an important element, as we will see in a second. Improving their liquidity and access to finance. SMEs have to have cash in order to be able to invest, certainly, and to pay their salaries. Enabling access to skilled staff. This is a growing concern for SMEs these days. And I think it's also important to support SMEs throughout their entire life cycle. The recent Draghi report has confirmed these 4 priorities. Let me go through some of these elements, some of these priorities, because these are going to be the priorities for the next mandate of the Commission. First, certainly, and I mentioned it before, simplification and administrative burden reduction feature prominently for the future mandate of the Commission. The President of the Commission has announced the target of 25% reduction in reporting obligations. And for SMEs, even an additional reduction, reaching a reduction of at least 35%, as outlined in the mission letters to Vice Presidents designate and Commissioners designate. Administrative burden reduction is particularly important to achieve real progress in the twin transition. Second, digital solutions can help facilitate the steps for SMEs, and we need to ensure SMEs take up digital solutions. In this context, we are actively working on the single digital gateway together with Member States to provide a one-stop shop for reliable administrative and regulatory information, online procedures and assistance and at all level of public administrations. I mentioned before access to liquidity, access to finance. This is essential. If you don't have cash, SMEs cannot pay their salaries, they cannot work, they cannot apply to public procurement, they cannot liaise, and they cannot even think about going international. Access to finance and liquidity is therefore another key priority for SMEs to ensure productivity and to make the EU economy more innovative and competitive. Programs such as InvestEU already work well in connecting SMEs to their local finance providers. Public procurement, the possibility to apply to the public sector and provide services and goods, it's a very important area of potential business in the European Union, in the European economy. It accounts for about 2 trillion euros every year, 14% of the whole GDP of the European Union. And yet, for many of our SMEs, this is still too cumbersome or difficult to apply for public contracts. To simplify the rules and reduce administrative burden while ensuring supply security, we will revise the public procurement rules. We want to make them easier for SMEs to apply to these public tenders. Liquidity of SMEs is also threatened by not being paid promptly, which is why we launched the proposal for a late payment regulation in September 2023 to ensure SMEs get paid promptly for the goods and services they offer, both by other companies or even by public sector. and together with the head office taxation proposal. We believe these two proposals will allow for clearer rules and easier procedures in cross-border transactions. Moreover, our SMEs need the right people to work for them, people with the right skills, and this is becoming a more and more challenging issue in the European Union. This is another major focus of the recent Draghi report. The EU Talent Mobility Package, adopted last year, is a first step, as are the ongoing actions under the Startup Nation standards and the IP Help Desk for SMEs. In the new mandate of the Commission, we will go further by building a union of skills. I strongly believe that all these SME policy measures and initiatives will reinforce the productivity and competitiveness of our SMEs, which is crucial for succeeding in cross-border operations and strong global competition such as the Chinese market. Let me now focus on the international parts. I think this is the overall picture for the European Union. These are some of the priorities, the most important priorities, some of the elements, some of the initiatives that the new Commission is going to work in with regard to SMEs. And let me now focus on the international aspects. In addition to these additions, we also have actions to support SMEs in their internationalization. The SME Centre is our flagship instrument in this regard, as it provides a slew of complementary tools for SMEs to access the challenging Chinese market. This project, financed now via the SME pillar of the SMP, the Single Market Programme, and before by COSME, has been running for over 10 years, and we have now published the call for its 5th phase to continue providing services to our SMEs, ensuring their competitiveness in China. In essence, the SME Centre is the EU SME first point of contact in China. It guides companies through all stages of their internationalization, from identifying opportunities to avoiding pitfalls. It remains vigilant of potential challenges and anti-competitive practices, and also assists SMEs navigate those perils. We are indeed talking about important obstacles and risks that EU SMEs face. Some of the most serious issues that SMEs can face in China are of legal nature, including ensuring protection of their precious IP and avoiding forced or unwanted technology transfers, which are unfortunately on the rise again. For this, the SME Centre operates in close collaboration with another EU initiative in China, the IPR Help Desk, to ensure appropriate and timely support. Additionally, there is a general lack of level playing field for foreign companies, industrial policies, and non-tariff measures that tend to discriminate against foreign and private companies, transparency and predictability of government, rulemaking and enforcement, etc. All this against the backdrop of increasing geopolitical tensions and security concerns. These obstacles help explain why few EU SMEs export to China. The SME Performance Review from 2023, this is a Commission review that analyzes the state of play of SMEs in the European Union, showed that only just over a quarter, 28% of EU SMEs exported goods or services. Despite an increasingly difficult business climate, there are still opportunities, and I think we want to be positive for companies in China. There are still opportunities for companies in China. I want to repeat that. But SMEs need to be fully aware of the risks involved and prepare for them. This is why the Centre remains an important tool for our SMEs, as a way to ensure that our companies can receive relevant advice to assist them, no matter their circumstances, their background, or their stage of internationalization. I conclude. I'm very pleased, and my colleagues also in the international unit are very pleased to see that this long-running project keeps finding ways to assist EU companies in navigating for Chinese market. The program for this conference looks very interesting, and I hope it will indeed provide participants with the tools they need and understand China a little bit better. Thank you again for inviting me. I wish you a fruitful and inspiring event, and I'll give now also the floor, the opportunity to my colleague Igor from the agency that is also responsible for running the project to make the next, to present you a little bit more in depth the good things that you are doing. Thank you very much, and I wish you a fruitful and inspiring event. Thank you very much.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Boni. So my name is Igor Kalinic. I'm head of sector at EISMEA. EISMEA is the European agency, executive agency for EIC and SMEs. Now, a lot of titles, a lot of acronyms. We like somehow these things in Brussels. But it's not that difficult. I will briefly explain. EIC is the part of the program of the European Union that is towards the startups. So basically, these highly innovative companies that are willing to grow, willing to expand, and really being innovative, going also international. And the other part of the core of my agency is SMEs, although startups are also SMEs. Regarding actually my role within the agency, I am head of sector of the competitiveness and internationalization sector. And this sector is actually working on, as you heard before, Boni mentioned, single market program, the SME pillar. So actually, European Union has a program that is really specifically tailor-made to enhance and to improve the status, the working conditions, the business environment for the SMEs. And for all SMEs, being the startup, already existing, the old guy for 80 years that has run his company as with 20 or 30 people. It's all kind of SMEs. Often we hear that there are 99% of the businesses in Europe are SMEs, that there are more than 25 million of SMEs in Europe. Well, 99% of those are not startups. They are traditional companies. There's maybe the bakery around the corner, maybe not interested really to export into China, but there is also automotive sector, tons of small companies that are working in the automotive sector, and they want to be in China. Actually, 20 and some years ago, when I was studying, I did my first stage in a small Italian automotive company, and they had like 50 people in Italy, 20 in Slovakia, and already 20 in China back in 1998. And I asked, like, why are you in China? For sure to produce cheap. And they replied, no, it's for the market. It's like, no, it's because all the big groups are already there. So if we want to be innovative, we have to be in China because we have to know what is happening there in order to be forerunner also in Europe. So this shows also how the world is interconnected and how it is important for SMEs to be really present worldwide. So here it comes also the EU SME Centre in China. In the agency, so why agency, why DGs? It's complicated, but not that much. The DGs, or GROW, which is the ministries basically in most of the national governments, is the strategic thinking, is the forward thinking, it's the policy makers, they make regulations. The executive agencies are the ones that execute, they put the policy in practice, in action, basically, some of it, what can be done by Brussels and not by member states. So here in the agency we have EU SME Centre in China, but we have also EU Japan Centre for Industrial Cooperation. And funny enough, it's called Industrial Cooperation because it was set at the end of the 80s. And I have in my office a picture of the center of, well, old white men sitting around the table as used to be and smoking cigarettes at that point, you know, and it's a picture. But it was industrial cooperation because at that time, the big companies needed the state to connect them and to make them work. Now this Center for Industrial Cooperation is not cooperating anymore with the big companies. It's not there for the big. The name stayed, but it's basically another SME center. Analogously, we have also, Boni mentioned it briefly, we are managing IP centers around the world, and not only in China, but Southeast Asia, India, Africa, and Latin America. And those are very, very important because, especially for the SMEs, as have the first contact point to know how to protect their IP, if it's needed to protect, to what extent it is important to protect the intellectual property. And I mean, I see here a lot of people from business supporting organizations, and you know, I used to work in a chamber of commerce, and you know what is the biggest problem with this thing, is that the SMEs come to us, or used to come to me, when it's too late, right? When they already have done the mistake. So, and what you can do for them? Well, I really, really invite the SMEs to get in contact with the SME centers, with the IP help desks, with the business supporting organizations, because they are the ones that can give the advice before making the mistake. Also, we heard earlier about public procurement. Public procurement is super crucial in Europe. In Europe, it's 40% of GDP, as Boni mentioned, and in the agency, in my sector, we are doing a lot of initiatives. We are training business supporting organizations, we are training big public buyers on how to make SME-friendly public procurement. So how to write the text of the call so that SMEs can actually apply easier. We have also in the domain of public procurement initiatives of having innovative public procurement, so public procurement of innovation, which is also very important, so that actually our hospitals, our communes, our public institutions actually buy the top technology and not off-the-shelf 20 years old solutions that maybe are not up to date with today's world. So I will not talk too much about all these initiatives that we are having, but feel free to come to me if you want to know more. Just before concluding, I would like to mention also a little bit about the history of the EU SME Centre in China, that started actually as an initiative under DG DevCo. DevCo, it was Development and Cooperation, I think quite some years ago. Now it's INPA. And it was transferred from development ministry to the Ministry of Industry, so to DG Entrepreneurship and Industry and Single Market, because actually China is not anymore a developing country, right? So this is also an evolution that we have seen, like in the case of EU-Japan, right? And this center, it's a call that we manage every 3 years, I think it's a call. This cyclus is coming in the end on the 30th of June, if I'm not right, if I remember correctly. So we are now, or we have already launched a call for another 3 years that is an open call. So who may be interested, I invite you to check the portal, the tenders portal. Funding and tenders portal, and if you are interested to apply for the next period of 3 years. The deadline is 15th of January, so you have quite some time in case you want to set up a consortium to run the new phase. Thank you very much, and I give back word to Liam. Thank you.